Hello EDU 131. Welcome to Module 4. In this module, we'll be talking about parents and teachers in the classroom. You want to read carefully chapters 13, 14, and 15 in your textbook, Homeschool and Community Relations. If you will first go to the Module 4 lesson and walk through each one of these pages in the Module 4 lesson, and that you will see some great lecture notes here of things to read and learn about this particular topic. And then also you will see some great links here that you can link onto that might help you or parents that you work with, that are some really good helpful links for this particular module. And then on this page there are some great clips and some websites about sexual abuse and trafficking, which is a huge problem in our nation right now, as many of you are probably aware. And just want you to read some of these things and realize that this is a true awful situation we have, and that it's a topic that sometimes we don't want to make ourselves aware of, but I think we need to know what is going on and possibly how we can help to stop this. And it affects families and children so much. So you want to think about how, in working on behalf of children and families, what can you do to advocate for the respect of all children and families, and maybe even take action for those affected by human trafficking. So go ahead and look through some of these things as well. So now if we go back to Module 4, we will also see there are two different due dates for this particular module. You have a module discussion here, and you want to discuss at least two of these questions below in your discussion forums. And I just want to say I really appreciate all of the discussion that is going on in the discussion forums and how detailed you're being, and in your great responses to one another, and in your encouragement, and also making suggestions or maybe even thinking about some other ideas that the person that you are responding to may not have thought about. So that is great to see those discussions going on. Also, you will be doing part of your family engagement plan for this module. So if you will look at that, you're going to be doing the family engagement policy and a rationale and a survey. So this is section 3 of the family engagement plan. So first of all, using your volunteer classroom program as a guide, develop a policy that addresses family engagement in an early childhood program. The policy should include the program's philosophy regarding family participation, as well as strategies that the program employs to promote active involvement of families. And as you know that we have discussed, or you have read about in your textbook, about certain programs who actually require parent participation within their program, or family participation. So think about that, and if that is something you want to put into this policy, and if so, what kinds of things are you going to be asking parents to be involved in or families to be involved in? So opportunities for involvement should be addressed, including family visits, volunteerism, advisory roles of family members, and any other additional ideas you deem relevant to your program. Research what might be the needs of your community in that particular volunteer classroom and include these aspects in your family engagement policy. The policy should also show sensitivity to the needs of differing cultures, family compositions, time and family constraints of those represented in your community in that particular classroom. You're also going to want to provide a separate rationale that describes the different families in the classroom or the program community, and addresses how the policy you have created is sensitive to those issues on diversity. And utilize information discussed in the class or in your text. Cite any sources you use in APA format. Now, you might come up with some really great ideas that you have found from other people, sources, maybe even the place where you're volunteering. Please make sure you cite those sources on a reference page in APA format. And then develop a survey within your policy for families in your volunteer classroom or program that would be given to parents and guardians of children in an early childhood program that addresses family engagement in the classroom. You are going to actually give this survey to the parents or families in your volunteer classroom program after you have created it. And you may also want to ask the classroom or teacher or the director of the program to look at it and review it before you send this out to those parents to fill out. Now, the survey should include types of involvement opportunities that may be selected, as well as open-ended questions to obtain parent-guardian ideas for involvement. The survey should include a minimum of 5 questions that captures parents or guardians' interest in being involved, their availability, and the level of ongoing commitment to the classroom or program, and any other additional ideas you deem relevant to the program. Now then you're going to utilize information we've discussed in this class or things that you've read about. And in addition to including questions about their involvement, you're going to then also include questions about what topics they would be interested in for a parent-family education night. So some of the examples of topics you may include, and of course you're not limited to these topics, but are listed below on this particular page. Please note that these topics below are only examples to get you thinking and started, and you could include other topics for them to choose from or not even choose all of these topics. So you just pick and choose some topics that you could actually put in as like a little checkbox or multiple choice items for the parents to check, that these would be topics that they would be interested in for a parent or family education night. You're going to submit one policy and survey in English and translate it into Spanish or another language of your choice that would be relevant to your situation. And again, any information you use, cite your sources used in APA format. So going back to Module 4, you're also going to remember at the beginning of the course, you filled out a professional behavior checklist and you had some goals. So now you're going to actually update us on how you're doing with those goals. You had a plan of action. So is your plan working? Why or why not? What do you need to do to improve your plan of action? How has this actively helped you to become more professional? Are there other areas that you would like to improve in the future, and how will you do that? And explain a situation during your service learning or your work setting when you were working on those professional goals that you had listed earlier. This is a time when you can be a little more self-aware of what is going on within yourself. Now, please be honest in your self-reflection. No one's perfect, and we just kind of want to see how you're doing on those goals that you had listed earlier in the class. There's a video lecture here, a TED Talk on building relationships between parents and teachers. Please watch it all the way through. It is excellent. And then you're going to do a service learning reflection check. So how are you doing with your service learning? So just think about, give us an update on how those things are happening in your classroom that you're volunteering in. And then journal writing number 5. Because of their positions, teachers and families have the capacity and obligation to influence by separate and united action community segments that are making decisions that affect their lives. As those who best know and care about the needs of developing children, parents, teachers, and interpreters are uniquely suited to be advocates, working to convince the community of what actions must be taken on their behalf. What educational or child development issue in your school or community do you feel passionate about? What have you done about it up to this point, and why have you not done more? What else could you do, and what supports and information would you need as you become involved in advocating for this issue? So this is a paper that you should show evidence of reading Chapter 12, and then also possibly looking at some of those links about human trafficking or child trafficking. That would be something that would be a big issue to actually advocate for, or maybe you already have been. So there's different issues that affect families and children that you could be an advocate for. So that's what this whole journal writing is about, is advocacy. And then you have your quizzes, Chapter 13, 14, and 15. Thank you, and have a great Module 4.